Good evening and thank you for joining us on the War Diary. On the 413th day of the war, here are the main highlights of the day at 7 p.m. Beirut time. On Lebanon's 81st Independence Day, political leaders paid tribute to the country. Maronite Patriarch Bshara al-Ra'i called for overcoming divisions to restore true independence through unity and dialogue. Lebanese forces leader Samir Geagea and former Prime Minister Saad Hariri emphasized that independence requires a strong state and full sovereignty, free from external interference. Meanwhile, embassies, including those of the United States, Germany, and Italy, renewed their support for Lebanon, urging stability and the urgent election of a president. In Beirut's southern suburbs, Israeli airstrikes intensified on Friday, targeting the Shiyeh neighborhood and partially destroying an 11-story building. Residents fled to nearby areas like Ain al-Rimmani. Earlier, bombing raids hit Hadath and Har Tahrik, causing significant damage. Live footage showed dense smoke rising from the targeted areas, highlighting the severity of the strikes. Civilians are under increasing pressure amid unprecedented military operations in the capital. In southern Lebanon, tensions remain high. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, was targeted by rockets, injuring 4 Italian peacekeepers. Rome condemned the attack, which it attributed to Hezbollah or affiliated groups. UNIFIL stressed that attacks on its soldiers violate international law and urge all parties to spare their positions. Israeli airstrikes targeted strategic areas and civilian infrastructure, including Naoura, Tyre, Khiyam, Zahrani, and Qana. In the Bekaa Valley, villages like Labaya and Sha'af were hit, leading to heavy casualties. In Flawi, 18 civilians, including 7 children, were killed. Emergency services are struggling to cope with the destruction. In retaliation, Hezbollah intensified operations against Israeli forces, targeting points like Khiyam, Farkila, and Mount Hermon. Hezbollah also claimed responsibility for a drone strike on Israeli troops in Yarin. The human toll continues to rise, with dozens of civilians killed, especially in Deir Zahrani, where Israeli strikes hit ambulances and rescue teams, which are considered violations of international law. The health ministry in Gaza warned of imminent fuel shortages, with the services potentially restricted within 2 days. The UN also reported severe disruptions to aid deliveries. Meanwhile, Israel's military claimed the killing of 5 Hamas militants in northern Gaza's Beit Lahia. In the occupied West Bank, Israel's defense ministry announced the end of administrative detention for Jewish settlers, a practice previously criticized for detaining individuals without trial. On the diplomatic front, President Joe Biden denounced the International Criminal Court's arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant as, quote, outrageous. Prime Minister Viktor Orban condemned the ICC warrant as, I quote, brazen and cynical, pledging to invite Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to visit and defied the arrest warrant. Meanwhile, Italy and Germany took a more cautious stance, with Italy expressing disapproval of equating Netanyahu to Hamas, while acknowledging legal obligations, and Germany continuing to evaluate the ruling. China also urged the ICC to remain, quote, objective and fair, while France has taken note of the ICC's decision. Support for the warrant came from Amnesty International, which called Netanyahu, and I quote, a wanted man, and Turkey, which described the decision as, quote, positive. Spain, Ireland, Belgium, and Sweden affirmed respect for the ruling and international law. Iran hailed the warrant as marking Israel's, quote, political death. That concludes today's recap. Join us tomorrow for another overview of the situation. Until then, stay connected on This Is Beirut's website and on all our social media platforms.